In this video, I'm going to be giving you insider tips for first timers visiting Japan. That's because I went to Japan recently and my friend Nick requested this video. So I'm going to be speaking to you, Nick. I'm also going to post this online in case anyone else finds this useful. Okay, Nick, you're going to have an incredible time. It's going to be a blast. Japan is like one of my favorite countries ever. It's so fun, so clean, so safe, so unique in culture. But let's get into some tips that I had to learn the hard way. Okay, so first and foremost, you'll notice that there's no public trash cans. And I started to accumulate a bunch of garbage in my hands as I went around. Because let's say you eat like an onigiri from like a store or like a stall or something. Now you have all this saran wrap. So how do you throw it away? A few ways. One, go to the convenience stores. In them, there's usually a trash can. Second way, metro stations will sometimes have public restrooms, and those places will have trash cans sometimes. And that's also a double tip because I oftentimes also really needed to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find a public restroom anywhere. And so I either had to pay for a restaurant and use their restroom, or as I found out later, go to the major train stations. They usually have a bathroom in there. By the way, the restrooms in Tokyo, so clean. They have like heated seats, bidets, no smell. It's incredible. And then like the third way, you can, find certain spots where they just have trash cans. But it's generally pretty hard to find a trash can in public. You could go to like a restaurant, for example, and then like pay for food, and then you could throw it away there. But yeah, those are the main ways. Second thing, get a Suico or Pasmo card. So these are basically little plastic cards, and essentially you load them with cash. So you can buy them at any of the convenience stores. Then you go to a train station because you're likely going to be navigating through a lot of these places on train. Go ahead and there's going to be a bunch of machines there. Put your card in the machine, load it with some cash. Why? Because it's so much smoother and easier than the other method, which is you go to these ticket machines, you have to tell exactly which station you're getting off, and it'll give you a different price depending on which station you get off. Then you have to pay for a one-time ticket you insert into the ticket booth. What a hassle, right? And you have to do that every time, rather than you just tap and pay each time you go in and out until your balance gets low. So much easier. These cards, by the way, they're also usable at other places, including convenience stores. And if you're going through the major cities, which you probably are, Osaka, Kyoto, Tokyo, and maybe Hiroshima, they all have train stations and transport and buses, and that's where you can use this card as well. The buses, not as much. In like Osaka and Hiroshima, you still had to pay cash at the buses. But other than that, like the train stations were still very good with using these things, as well as the convenience stores. So definitely get those things. Next thing is basically navigating between cities or from your airport to your first city. So this was a bit of a doozy, but I figured it out. It was confusing because not a lot of people speak English. Most people speak Japanese there. And the signs will have English and Japanese on them, but it was still a little bit tricky to figure out. So I'll save you a bunch of time. So getting from the airport to like, I assume you're landing in Tokyo, airport to Tokyo, it's gonna be like probably like a 45-minute like train. So basically I got off my terminal, I got my baggage claim stuff, and then there's you literally have to go through like a few different areas, go down like an escalator or two to find the place where you buy a specific special ticket to get on this train that would take you all the way to um, essentially Tokyo. So how did I figure all that out? Well, basically, I found the information booth where there was a lady there who spoke English, and she was very happy to help tourists. She gave me a whole map to get me to that place. Now, along the way, there was still some questions, some road bumps and speed bumps, and my biggest hack and tool was ChatGPT. So I basically asked ChatGPT in detail where I was, where I wanted to go, and it would just basically lay out everything. It's not perfect. Sometimes it'll get like some small fact wrong about the place or whatnot. But for the most part, it was pretty accurate and it told me exactly, okay, this is what it is. It was called like something like SkyTrain. This is so like I think where it lacks usually is where that place is inside the building. So that's where I relied on that lady. But like in terms of like the cost, okay, which is the best option? Should I take a taxi? Like those type of decision making things and the details of the cost, pretty darn accurate. And I found that to be true not just in Japan but everywhere else I've used it. Um, so that's that. I also use ChatGPT a lot. I set it to the option to search the web, but you can also just search Google and then find the articles, which will tell you the same thing, but probably more accurately, um, uh, or efficiently. But I would say ChatGPT has actually been pretty darn accurate. But essentially, uh, use one of those tools to find out how to get from city to city because you're not using the local metro anymore. You're going to be using some type of a bullet train or just a longer train. And so from Tokyo to Kyoto, which is the path I took, I had to pay in advance and I had to pay like something like 75 US dollars for essentially like a bullet train. And you had to go to like the like main train station in Tokyo, and then you had to go navigate through somewhat of a maze. It took me like 20 to 25 minutes just to get through this giant train station to find the area where the bullet trains are. So that was one where I used uh, ChatGPT to give me some rough instructions. And then if I did get lost, which sometimes did happen a little bit, I would ask just passerbys until I found someone who would speak English. And the Japanese people are so nice and friendly and so safe and trustworthy too. So I think you'll be fine. Like literally, I dropped my passport on the way from the airport to Tokyo day one. And like these people don't steal stuff. They literally like I called the train station and they're like, we found it. Come to this train station, and I did. And then they handed me the passport. They verified it was me. They're super smooth. They're very safe and reliable people. But I don't know. It was a passport. It wasn't my wallet, so who knows if it was something more precious. But point is, I found them to be very safe and respectful of a people. So that's essentially how you can use the signs. There's tons and tons of signs, and they will be in English and then Japanese under them. So you can definitely use the signs and arrows to get there. Um, but on occasion, you might just like run into a lull where there's no signs pointed which way to go anymore. And that's where asking around and just asking for someone's help can get you the rest of the way. But that's important because it's good to book those between city trains in advance before they sell out. I was able to do it the day before because I went in a relatively like there's really no slow season because Japan's like one of the most touristy countries, but I was still able to go at a time where I could have booked that bullet train the day before. So for you, just like check it out, check out the availability. Better to be safe than sorry. If you can, book it weeks, months in advance so you don't have to worry about it selling out when you want to go. Now from Kyoto to Osaka, we didn't have to take a bullet train. I just took the a regular train, but it took me like an hour and a half to get there with the regular train because there's just so many stops between those two cities. So I was able to use the General Suica Pass, but once again, check the articles online, check ChatGPT, but those between city trips are usually a bigger deal. From Osaka to Hiroshima, that was another one where I had to do some research in advance and book a special train. Same thing from Hiroshima back to Tokyo. So once again, do your research, book those in advance so you don't have to worry about them. They can sell out. I was lucky enough to go at a time where they really didn't sell out that quickly or enough where I booked like a couple days in advance. But you don't want to take the same risk as I did, especially if you're going in a busier time of year, because they can sell out because these are kind of essentially pre-booked long haul trains. Okay, let's move on from trains. What other tips do I have? I mean, for the most part, just enjoy. Like some people think Japan's so difficult, but I found it to be very tourist friendly in many ways. Yeah, they don't speak the language of English that much, but it's still enough to get around. There's so many tourists and Americans everywhere. Um, when you're in Kyoto or Osaka or Tokyo, like have some things planned in advance so you know where you want to go. That way you can just put it into Google Maps. It'll tell you where to go. And I went to a lot of temples and uh, the common stuff in Kyoto, and I really loved it. The really only hassle is like finding your way to the place. So you put it into Google Maps, it'll tell you the route. For Kyoto, I sometimes found the route to be a hybrid double approach where maybe I needed to take the uh, bus or I take the train. Just depending on the route, it's obviously doesn't have as diverse and as exhaustive a metro system as Tokyo does. But I was happy to take the bus to get to where I wanted to get to. And then once you get there, all of a sudden, boom, it's hordes of tourists in line to get to the bamboo forest or this temple. So for the temples, especially that really famous temple in Kyoto that like has those orange pillars, get there at like 5 a.m. I'm not kidding. Like by 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., it's already super busy. So just something to keep in mind. I didn't mind the crowd, so I showed up later. But like by midday, um, it's over. It's like mobs of people. Um, there's some lesser known temples in Kyoto that are worth visiting, but by the end of it, I was like sick of temples. There was like, I went to like 7 or 8 temples or more. Um, Another thing to watch out for is uh, cell service. So make sure you have working cell service. Um, or like a lot of these things can be a hassle. So this was something I kind of learned the hard way. Um, but for you, an eSIM is the easiest way. That way you don't have to take out a physical SIM and replace it with a physical SIM in your card. It's just all digital. So look it up. I think there's a lot of great eSIM services where you just like, set it up digitally. I think a big one is Airalo, but just look it up online. There's a lot of top eSIM providers in Japan. You want to have good cell service because if you don't, how are you going to navigate with Google Maps? Like the toughest part is really just like navigating like from one destination to another. And that's just like knowing which station you get on, train station to get off. If you have no cell service, you have no idea. So that's the biggest thing. I use Google Maps a lot. almost religiously to essentially get from place to place and know which bus or train to take. But after that, like it's so simple. Like um, the rest is just like okay, you wander. You go to the places you want. You wander. You see some good food. You eat it. Or um, I think it's better to actually go to predetermined restaurants. From what I've read on Reddit and online, if you, especially in Kyoto, if you just wander and just go to like a random restaurant, because there's so many restaurants and food stalls there, especially in the food market, um, you may run, go to a kind of mediocre restaurant, um, and then you won't like get like a good meal. But I mean, that's just what I read online. For me, I wasn't as picky. I think a lot of people online were saying that, oh, I went to Kyoto and it wasn't as good as I thought because, I was just wandered and I went to random restaurants. For me, I'm not as picky. So like when I wandered, like I picked stuff. I still liked it a lot usually. But if you want to avoid that, I did find that doing your research first and finding good food that's top rated can kind of help you make sure it's a good experience. I was also on a budget, so another thing was I successfully found a lot of places where I could eat affordably. So budget is like you just go to 7-Eleven and these convenience stores, and they're not like convenience stores in the USA. These stores are really, really amazing. Now, first impressions, I was like, I don't see the big hype. I hear they were great. It just looked like a convenience store to me. But then towards the end of my trip, a friend of mine was in town, and he showed me like actually how to what to get or eat. Like you probably don't have that friend. Just maybe go on YouTube and see if you can find a video. But what he did for me was he loaded up an entire basket with all these different things like, you know, this baked good, this onigiri, these refrigerated noodles, this ramen that's like, dehydrated. And like he just knew all the different things to get, and then like he went to the microwave, he heated it up, he heated up like these dan dan noodles, and I kid you not, like it was the freshest dan dan noodles I've ever had. It didn't taste like anything in the States, where like usually if you heat up frozen food in the States, it's like overly processed, there's chemicals in it, but something about it is just fresh. So that's like the budget way, most budget way. The step above that I would do sometimes as well is I would go to these like budget chain restaurants. So there's one called Sushiro, which is like this like conveyor belt sushi chain that's like everywhere. Like it's like every like 2 blocks there's one, and there's another place. You'll see it as well. I forgot the name of it, but you'll see it as well. It's like Ichiban or something, and it's a Japanese curry place. In both of these places, you basically go there, you find a seat, and then you order anything you want on a touchscreen, and then it comes to you. With the conveyor belt sushi one, Sushiro, um, like every piece of sushi is like it costs anywhere from like $1 to like $2, $2.50, or sometimes $3 if you go with the premium. But in my experience, I was able to have a pretty hefty meal that was satisfying for me for like $10 to $15 there, and a substantial amount of sushi. And then it's the same thing with the curry place, but it's just instead of a conveyor belt, they just serve you one bowl of really good curry. And then there's like a chain of like ramen that's similar to. Um, Look it up online. It's like the most famous, respected ramen place. I think it's called like Ichiran or something. You'll find it online. I can't remember the name of it, but you'll see it as well. And it's basically this place where you there, and like there's literally like an opening where like they pass the bowl through with your hands, and then if you have any questions or requests, you literally write it down and you write a note and you pass it through this hole. So you don't even have to see the person, or you can't see the person in the kitchen. They just like pass everything through like this hole, in the stall you're at. It's a bit strange, but in terms of budget food, that's what you want. I'm sure I'm missing something that I forgot to say, but if you have any specific questions while you're there, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer it. Honestly, I found it to be like outside of those main things with navigating to a place, which is can get kind of confusing when sometimes you're in a Japan train metro and nothing's in English. That can sometimes happen, and the maps are all in Japanese. That like it's really just navigation. Like outside of navigation, which once you get the hang of, it's not that hard. Um, Everything else was generally pretty smooth and safe. I felt pretty safe for the most part. Obviously, just have a good head around you. Don't do anything stupid like stay out way too late alone. But even if you do, like I was out fairly late sometimes and it still felt fairly safe. So it just seemed to be a really nice place. So there's really not much to watch out for other than like just get your cell service in check and transportation and like garbage and stuff. The rest is just like enjoy, wander, have fun, and have a great time. Now, oh, another thing worth mentioning that you may want to watch out for is when you are like traveling and like having a blast and doing all this stuff and enjoying yourself. Um, Also, make sure to go to some of the spas because those things are super cheap and like high quality. Like m- we're talking multiple floors of like spas, ice baths, salt rooms. So I think you'll find the best one in Osaka. So I think I paid about $10, and you could spend like a few hours there, if not the whole day. I came kind of late, so late in the day, so I didn't get the full experience. I think the cutoff for me was midnight. Um, but it's called something like Spa World or Spa Land, one of the two in Osaka. So it's a little bit of a local secret, but check it out. For the price, incredible experience. Be warned though, you're gonna be in an all male place where everyone else is naked. So that was a bit of a culture shock for me. But if you can get past that, um, it's really luxurious. So check it out, really great. I think if you stay at the hotel that it's attached to, I'm pretty sure this is true. Um, you get the spas for free. So that's a way of kind of combining them two in one if you want to stay at the hotel. I didn't stay at the hotel. I just wanted like the spa because I think the hotel is kind of expensive. But um, yeah, if you want to do that, it's doable. I don't think it's like breaking the bank, but it's probably like $50 to $100 a night. So you decide if that's worth it. So that's about it. I'm probably missing something, but I really feel like I hit most of the big points. Um, it was really not that scary at the end of the day. You're gonna have a blast there. Enjoy.